If you needed to bet on one working filmmaker today who can push cine lovers back to movie theatres, it must be Christopher Nolan. A champion of theatrical release strategies and shooting on old-fashioned films for his entire career, a Nolan release feels like an event, a movie-watching experience designed to be seen on the biggest screen possible. And when the man himself proclaims, of all the films he has made, his latest film Tenet is perhaps one that is most designed for the audience experience, the big screen experience, you can hardly wait. Does Tenet meet up to the expectations? Is it worth fighting with your family to go back to the cinema? Let us find out in this FilmCopath exclusive on Christopher Nolan and his latest offering, Tenet. Before boarding Tenet's time travel ride, he is requesting you once again to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for all our video notifications. We need your support to keep going. If Tenet is not your introduction to Christopher Nolan, you will quickly feel familiar to its narrative structure. Nolan will always take up a familiar genre. A thriller as in Memento or Insomnia, sci-fi as in Interstellar, heist movie as in Inception, or war movie as in Dunkirk. The films would mostly have a catchy one-word name, a word which will soon be one of the most googled ones. And then, much like the magical acts in his 2006 masterpiece, The Prestige, his films will also be structured into 3 acts. Starting with The Pledge. The movie will always start with a bang, and Tenet is no exception. Without wasting a single second, you are straight put in middle of a visually stunning action set piece, split between trying to find out what exactly is going on and relishing what's happening in front of you. Now, that is the Nolanesque strategy. The expositions throughout the beginnings of his films will happen amidst overwhelming action sequences accompanied by jaw-dropping visuals. Add to that the pulsating background scores and multiple characters conversing in jargons and unknown references, not always with distinct clarity. All these intentionally make it overwhelming for the viewer to take it all in, including the visuals, sounds, and sensations. You can hardly grasp all of it in one go, thus demanding the second viewing, or the third. Nolan intentionally denies his audience all of the information in the first watch, and one of the striking aspects of his cinema is that he does it using technical expertise alone, and not cheat shots or misleading facts. Again, Tenet is no exception in living up to all these trademarks. But one might still feel something missing. Is it Hans Zimmer and his phenomenal soundtrack, which has been a part of Nolan events way back from Batman Begins? But then we have Academy Award winner composer Ludwig Göransson this time. And unless you are made aware, you hardly realize it is not Zimmer, but Göransson in charge of the throbbing scores this time. Well, by the time you wonder more, you are already into the second act, the turn. As you might have noticed if you're a Nolan fan, the turn in a Nolan movie is all about symmetry and loops. In Memento, it was the narrative structure, a linear plot bent into symmetrical curves, with the start and the end to the plot both moving towards the defining conflict. In Insomnia or the Batman franchise, it was symmetrical characters on both sides of the law, the Batman or the Joker, the Good Knight or the Dark Knight, the culprit and the custodian finding replicas of each other in themselves, with the lines between right and wrong constantly getting blurred. Inception was about reality and dreams and concentric loops within, while Interstellar was symmetrical time travel from present to future and future to past. Tenet itself is a palindrome, the crux of the Sator square. The Sator square is a 5x5 word square containing a 5-word Latin palindrome consisting of 25 letters in total, all derived from 8 Latin letters. 5 consonants S, T, R, P, N and 3 vowels A, E and O. Obviously, all these words are important plot points in the film. While Tenet is the organization trying to save the world from a potential destruction, Sator is the primary antagonist masterminding this destruction. Opera is the site for the opening siege. Rotas correlate to the name of the security company in Oslo Freeport, which hosts an important event in the story, and Arapo, as in Thomas Arapo, is a forger of the Goya painting linked to the plot line. It reminds us how Nolan names his characters in Inception to spell out dreams, the matrix of that film. The symmetries do not end there in Tenet. There's symmetry of motion this time. Objects, while moving forward in time, come across their past selves, that is, their time-inverted versions, receding back in time. The objects clash while the humans fight their time-inverted versions. Surreal, isn't it? You fighting your past self, thrashing for the once committed mistakes and incorrect decisions. Tenet does bring in such philosophical concepts in its meta layer. There's also interesting color coding in the film. There's important set pieces marked in colors of red and blue, which perhaps is a reference to the Maxwell's Demon Fate experiment, which is also found demonstrated across the board in one of the earliest scenes. So Tenet challenges your intellect at multiple levels, providing ample opportunities for debates, discussions, hidden meanings, and new interpretations, like all the other Nolan movies. And even though you have this uncanny feeling of still missing something, is it the star-studded ensemble that his films generally have? Maybe the glamour to an extent, but to be fair, John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, and Elizabeth Debicki do justice to their roles and pull through their acts just fine. In fact, in an intelligent narrative choice in Tenet, the protagonist is also just named protagonist to give a common man vibe. It makes sense not to put a star in that role. So we still do not figure the reason for the discomfort and move on to Act 3, the prestige. Like always, the magician tries to pull through his trick and trump the audience's understanding this far. Nolan does that once again, and with new expositions coming out, you instantly start connecting dots and advocating more hidden meanings. A very clever card of symmetry is played once again, questioning the entire chronology of events, and after the revisit of that order, the film starts making much more sense. And now, when entire exposition is over and the tricks are all at display, we finally identify the disconnect. Nolan's films have always been about tricks, revelations, and disconnected dots, but emotions have been the icing on the cake.
I'm drawn across the universe to someone I haven't seen in a decade, who I know is probably dead. Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. Maybe we should trust that, even if we can't understand it yet.
Tenet has much to offer. An ambitious project, even by Nolan standards. But what Tenet lacks are emotions. Much like the protagonist in the film, the audience find out the people, places, objects, and finally the chronology of the events. But perhaps do not feel the same intimacy in the moments the characters struggle, thus defeating the purpose of Nolan's concept of experiencing a film rather than watching it. The symmetries and the motifs also give us a sense of déjà vu, a feeling of starting to care less about solving one more puzzle. Maybe it's time Nolan starts challenging his trademarks a bit more than challenging his audience with a more difficult puzzle. For instance, why does the new composer Ludwig Göransson need to be so similar to Zimmer? Why not explore new forms of audio engagement for the audience? And why do the stakes always need to be as high as saving the world? More personal stories like Prestige or Following can be equally engaging and clever. Then again, please do not get us wrong. Tenet is still an extremely memorable watch from a filmmaker pulling up original films of true scope and ambition. It's just that Tenet doesn't add up to Nolan's already opulent achievements. It's a more complex film, but not a more compelling one.
The point is that a real magician tries to invent something new that other magicians are going to scratch their heads over, you know?
We give Tenet 7 out of 10 in this review, and we keep room for additional points which Tenet might fetch in subsequent viewings. Please share your comments of what you feel about Tenet and our analysis. Also, subscribe to us right away. Thank you for watching.